This is Ernie's last show of 2015, so it's a great time to look back at the year that was. Up next, some of the great stories that made this past year so memorable. We'll be right back. 2015 will be remembered for a lot of things, and cutting the cord is one of them. Record numbers of people ditched cable companies and have chosen to stream their entertainment. Media giants like Viacom, Disney, Time Warner, Comcast, and others have lost a combined $50 billion this year because of dwindling subscribers, and the trend is expected to continue. That's just one of the stories that will define 2015. This year has brought a lot in the way of big news and entertainment stories. Earlier this week, Ernie Anastas sat down with someone from the World Almanac to talk about the big stories of the past year.
And joining me right now is Sarah Janssen, and she is the senior editor of World Almanac. This is a great book. It's been around since what?
Since 1868.
1868. Yes. That's incredible.
Nearly 150 years.
Wow, what a history you guys. How do you decide on what makes, this book? How you get into it, the top stories?
Well, we've got a big team of people that collaborate on it, and we're looking at the big events of 2015, what was in the headlines, but also the things that we think are going to have a big impact in 2016.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a big job. There was a lot going on in 2015, and here we have a new year ahead of us. But let's talk a little bit about the previous year. We all have memories of what transpired in our lives, but there are these top stories, and you just compiled them. So let's start with what the list looks like. Number one on the list of the top stories, what would that be?
Number one would be probably no surprise to people who pay attention to the news, and that's the conflict with ISIS and the ongoing civil war in Syria, which also has caused this enormous refugee crisis throughout the world, including over 1 million that have entered Europe this year alone.
Yeah, dominated the headlines. The U.S. Supreme Court also had a big year as well, closer to home.
Big year on the Supreme Court. Of course, the same-sex marriage decision was a huge sort of earth-shattering ripple effect in the country. We also had a big Obamacare decision with some of the subsidies being upheld. They're saying one of the last big challenges, at least constitutionally, to Obamacare. So big year there as well.
And don't forget Women's World Soccer Cup. That was a huge story. We all covered that thing, and that's in the book as well.
So much fun to pay attention to the World Cup this summer. The U.S. women's team, of course, did a great job. Highest rated World Cup of all time. A lot of other fun sports stories this year, though. Serena Williams, the boxing match of the century.
Yes.
Might have been a little disappointing for some. We also had the first Triple Crown winner since the 70s. So super fun to pay attention to sports.
Great stuff. And also a current story right now that's also in the World Almanac. We're talking about Star Wars. What a giant of a story that's been.
It's kind of just taken everyone by storm. It's raised over $500 million already. It's only been out for a couple of weeks. When the trailer came out, this thing was viewed by over 100 million people in the first 24 hours. So we all knew it was going to be big, but I think we're all still sort of like, wow.
And speaking about making it big, how about Adele? Did you get any? I mean, what a huge success she was, and has been. It is.
Totally on fire. People have been looking for this album for years. It's been 4 years since one was released, and then in the first week alone, she sells more than 4 million copies, which is just sort of unheard of in this mostly streaming music age.
Well, Sarah Janssen, we certainly hope 2016 will also be a great year. We're looking forward to it. Okay, thank you for my coffee, by the way. All right.
Of course.
Thanks for sharing all the top stories of 2015.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.